You believe in the mystical image humans have created of you. They look at your heart-shaped white face and see wisdom, mystery, a magical messenger from fairy tales. They think your life is a serene flight under the moonlight, punctuated by noble hunts and contemplative silence. Forget all that. Your existence is not a fairy tale. It is a biological horror movie where hunger is the absolute protagonist. You are not wise. You are a desperate metabolic machine that constantly needs to kill to avoid collapse. That beautiful face? It is a fleshy satellite dish built to detect the sound of dying rodents. And that ghostly whiteness that humans admire? Frequently, it is the last thing you see before being cannibalized by your own siblings. The mortality rate of your species in the first year of life hovers around 75%. Welcome to your reality, short, violent, and starving. Your consciousness begins in absolute darkness, muffled and filled with strong smells. The odor of ammonia from accumulated droppings and the metallic smell of decomposing meat are the first pieces of information your brain processes. You are inside an egg, cramped, but the biological impulse screams that it is time to get out. You use the egg tooth, a small calcified protrusion on your beak, to break the shell. It is exhausting work. You push, you peck, you tear the membrane. Air enters your lungs for the first time, cold and damp. When you finally crack open the calcium prison and tumble onto the nest floor, reality hits you with brutality. You are not born into a clean, tidy cradle. You are in a tree cavity, or perhaps in the rafters of an abandoned barn, surrounded by prey remains and waste. Your body is pathetic, naked, pink, blind, and unable to regulate its own temperature. The cold is immediate agony, piercing your thin skin down to the bone. But the cold is not your biggest problem. The problem is time. Your mother did not lay all the eggs at once. She practiced asynchronous hatching. This means that while you have just hatched, your older siblings have already been out for days, maybe for more than a week. You instinctively open your beak, begging for food, letting out a weak hiss, but something shoves you hard. You feel bodies all around you. They are huge, warm, and covered in a white down that you do not yet possess. They are your siblings. They weigh 3 or 4 times what you do. They can already see. They already have strength. And the most terrifying thing, they are just as hungry as you are. In this nest, biology dictates neither justice nor equality. It dictates size hierarchy. When the parents arrive with a field mouse, the food does not go to the one who needs it most. It goes to the one who can reach highest and scream loudest. You, the runt, are merely nature's contingency plan. If there is leftover food or rarity, you eat. If food is scarce, you are not a child. You are a living reserve of protein stored for your older siblings. Weeks pass and your survival is a statistical miracle. Your eyes have opened, revealing a world of shadows and grotesque shapes. Your body is now covered in clumsy, dense down, making you look like a strange alien, far from the elegance of the adults. Hunger is a constant that never, ever goes away. It is a physical pain in your abdomen, a chemical command that supersedes every other instinct. You quickly learn that silence does not exist in the nest. The sound of your childhood is a chorus of hoarse hisses and screeching cries. Unlike other owls that hoot softly, your species emits sounds that resemble distorted, scratched, and metallic human screams. Every time the shadow of a parent blocks the entrance to the cavity, chaos sets in. Today, the food didn't arrive. The rain outside prevented efficient hunting. The hunger in the nest changes the atmosphere of competition into something much more sinister. You observe your brother, the one who hatched last after you, the weakest of the clutch. He stopped begging for food a few hours ago. He is quiet in the corner, his breathing growing shallow. His apathy contrasts with the violent restlessness of your older siblings. When he finally stops moving, there is no mourning. There is no ceremony. The survival instinct of your older brothers takes over. You watch as they turn toward the inert body. His flesh is energy. In minutes, what was your brother becomes sustenance. You, driven by the same overwhelming hunger, join them. There is no room for morality here, only calories. You swallow pieces of the one who shared the egg beside you. This is facultative kingism, a brilliant and horrible evolutionary strategy. His death ensures that you have enough energy to live another day. You begin training your motor skills. You walk along the edges of the nest, stretching the wings that are now starting to gain true flight feathers, golden and gray. You bob your head from side to side, triangulating sounds, testing the radar built into your skull. But the world outside is vast, and the fall is deadly. The first flight is not an elegant waltz. It is a desperate leap of faith. You launch yourself. The ground approaches fast. Your wings beat awkwardly, fighting gravity. You land with a hard impact, tumbling into the tall grass. Now you are outside the safety of the den, vulnerable to foxes, house cats, and worse, to large winged predators like the great horned owl, which would not hesitate to kill you. You need to get back up, but your pectoral muscles burn with exhaustion. Childhood is over. If you don't learn to kill alone in the next few weeks, you will be the next to die of starvation. Your parents will stop feeding you soon. The death clock has started ticking faster. You survived the massacre of infancy, but adulthood offers no consolation prizes. You are now a perfectly designed killing machine, but every piece of your biology comes at a high cost. Your face, this heart-shaped facial disc, is not aesthetic. It is a rigid structure of dense feathers that functions like an acoustic shell, capturing minuscule sound waves and directing them toward your ears. And your ears are a crooked marvel. They are asymmetrical. The left is positioned higher on the skull than the right. This allows you to process sound in 3 dimensions. You don't need to see the mouse. You build a topographical image of it in your brain just by hearing the rustle of its paws in the dry foliage. Sounds like a superpower, right? The problem is that this requires intense cerebral processing, which consumes glucose, which requires food. It is an endless cycle. Night falls and you take off. Your feathers have serrated edges, an evolutionary adaptation that breaks up air turbulence. You fly in absolute silence. There is none of the whoosh-whoosh of other birds. You are an aerodynamic ghost. But this silence comes at a terrible price. Your feathers are not waterproof. The oiliness that would make the feathers impermeable would create noise when rubbing against each other. Evolution chose silence over protection. This means that if it starts raining, you are doomed. The water instantly soaks your plumage. You become heavy, unable to fly, and die of hypothermia. A simple summer storm is a death sentence. You glide over an open field. Your metabolism is incredibly fast. You need to eat the equivalent of 10 to 15% of your body weight every single night. Imagine a human having to eat 22 pounds of pure meat every day just to keep from collapsing. The pressure is constant. You hear something. A dormouse. You dive. Claws extended. The impact is precise. You feel the bones of the prey shattering under the pressure of your talons. There is no time to savor it. You swallow the entire rodent. The fur, the bones, the teeth, everything slides down your elastic esophagus. The stomach digests the meat, but compacts the rest into a hard, indigestible mass. Hours later comes the painful part of the daily routine. You feel the spasm in your stomach. The nausea rises. You open your beak, gag, contract your neck in violent movements, and regurgitate the pellet and oval package of compacted fur and bones. It's uncomfortable, leaves you vulnerable for a few seconds, and scratches your throat, but it is necessary to clear the system for the next kill. Your routine is solitary. There is no flock, no friends. You aggressively defend your territory, letting out that ragged scream that chills the blood of any intruder. You live on the edge. One day without a hunt means weakness. 2 days means you cannot generate enough body heat. 3 days, and you probably won't have the strength to take flight again. Nature is not cruel to you. It is indifferent, which is far worse. Spring arrives, and with it, a new type of stress. The reproductive drive isn't romantic. It's a brutal economic transaction. If you are a male, you have to prove you can support an entire family alone while the female incubates the eggs. If you are a female, you need to accumulate immense fat reserves to produce eggs. You hear the call. A male approaches. He initiates the display flights, hovering in the air, showing the whiteness of his chest, crying out to announce his presence. But the dance doesn't matter as much as the present. He brings a dead rat. It is the nuptial payment. The female assesses it. If the male doesn't bring enough food, there is no copulation. Her biology knows that without an expert provider, the brood will be nothing but a waste of vital energy. Mating occurs. The male mounts the female's back, balancing precariously. The union of the reproductive organs, the cloacal kiss, is quick, lasting only a few seconds, but it is the climax of weeks of energetic stress. There is no pleasure as humans understand it, only the release of a biological imperative that now traps both of you in a cycle of exhaustion. For the male, the hell begins now. The female will stay in the nest, incubating the eggs for 30 days. She will not hunt. You, the male, have to hunt for 2. And when the eggs hatch, you will have to hunt for 3, 4, 5, maybe 7 voracious mouths. You will become a shadow of yourself, flying until total exhaustion, your fat reserves burning until only muscle and sinew remain. For the female, the depletion is internal. Producing eggs drains the calcium from her own bones. The stress of confinement in the nest, depending entirely on the partner's hunting success, is agonizing. If he dies, hit by a car, or predated upon, you will have to abandon the eggs or the newborn hatchlings so you don't starve. Parental abandonment is common and brutally logical. It is better to save your own life and try again next year than to die along with a condemned clutch. You raise another generation of hungry assassins, repeating the cycle of sibling rivalry and struggle that you lived through. You age years in just one breeding season. Your feathers lose their luster, your talons wear down. The cost of perpetuating the species is your own vitality. You are only 2 years old, but you are already considered old by the standards of the wild. Your reflexes have slowed by fractions of a second enough to miss a critical hunt. This year's winter is harsh. Snow covers the ground, muffling the sound of the rodent's footsteps. Your auditory superpower is neutralized by the physics of the soft snow. Hunger returns, that old childhood friend. Desperate, you fly close to human dwellings. Barns, sheds, that is where the rats are. You detect a slow movement, a staggering rat near a grain silo. It looks like an easy kill, too easy. You dive and capture it. It barely struggles. You swallow it. What you do not know, and what your evolution did not prepare you to detect, is that rat was slow because it was dying. It ate rodenticide, a powerful anticoagulant poison placed by the humans. Now, that poison is inside you. The process is not immediate. It takes days. First, you feel a strange lethargy. Your blood begins to fail to clot. Small internal hemorrhages start occurring in your abdomen, in your lungs, in your brain. You feel a coldness that won't pass because your circulatory system is collapsing. You land on a low branch, unable to maintain an upright posture. Your vision darkens, not because of night, but due to lack of oxygenation. There is immense pressure in your chest. You try to regurgitate the pellet, but you lack the muscle strength for the spasm. You fall from the branch onto the snow. The impact is muffled. Lying on your side, you see the distant lights of a house. The poison has dissolved your veins from the inside. There is no glory. There is no ancestral wisdom. There is no mystical farewell. There is only the cold invading your feathers, which fail to protect against the wetness of the snow and the final darkness that swallows your consciousness. Your body, that marvel of biological engineering, will be found days later, frozen. Just another statistic in the extremely high mortality rate of your species. Nature has already replaced you with another hungry white face that was born last spring. The cycle continues, indifferent to your pain. You felt every instinct of this life. But nature does not stop. There is another skin waiting for you, other claws, other wings. A new way of seeing the world that you cannot even imagine. Your next incarnation has already been chosen. Do you have the courage to discover who you will be? If this life changed your perspective, strengthen the flock with your like. Share this unique vision of the world and subscribe. Here, you are never the same for long. Your new identity awaits you next week.